Right now, it takes 60 days for a lender to underwrite one single loan, bringing down the process to less than 5 minutes. Then you untap the scalability for all these hundreds and thousands and millions of farmers around the country. There was a gap of understanding between the two parties. Second, even though you do all this paperwork for them, they still do not understand it because that's not their area of expertise. We are combining the raw data, we are making sense of unstructured data to analyze, but then to explain that to a person at a bank, we are using LLMs to explain in simple words what you're seeing in a satellite image or what you're seeing in a market report. We are disrupting the how do we create value. Before, if you wanted to loan more, if you want to deploy more capital into your community, you needed high operational costs. So you need more people for more loans. With Agxes, you can provide more loans with less cost because the technology, as you use it more, the marginal costs goes down. You can demonstrate at every single stage how the decision was taken and what was the thinking process behind it.
You are listening to AI Insights San Francisco by Roan Weigert.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to this new episode of AI Insight here in San Francisco. And if you all can see, we are on this new space. So I created this studio for us to continue creating very good content and share to the world what is happening here in San Francisco, to the world about the AI and transformation. And today I am with Victoria. We're going to be talking about AI in agriculture and how this new technology can bring very transformations on different industries. Victoria, thank you so much for you having me in here on this Sunday afternoon, maybe talking about AI.
Thank you for the invitation, Roan.
Yes. So in 1 minute, what problem does Agxes solve for agricultural lenders?
Yes, so for agricultural lenders, what we are improving is operational costs. We are bringing them down. We're improving compliance and regulation, and we are bringing the lenders to be the top of mind lenders of their community with innovative services.
How does your story starts with the agriculture?
Yes, so I created my second company that I have founded. It's producing agriculture. So we have tomatoes in greenhouses and limes in open field. So I started the company that it's called NutriTech to produce food because I wanted to hit in the climate goals to grow food better, like more climate friendly. Second, social economic development, how to create wealth in rural areas. And third, the people. How to give jobs and good jobs for people that are in the rural areas. So that's why I fell in love with agriculture. But creating this company made me realize that there was a misunderstanding between the lenders and the growers like us. Why? What's the misconnection? The language. The lenders speaks finance and the growers speak operations. They speak tons, they speak fertilizers, they speak trucks. So it's hard for the finance people to understand how this information translates into cash flows. Many times, more than once, I had to do all the paperwork myself. We had to explain these lenders how our business was done and how this translates into income and cash flow and seasonality. So I understood that there was a gap of understanding between the two parties. Second, even though you do all this paperwork for them, they still do not understand it because that's not their area of expertise. So even though spending or investing a lot of times in doing this paperwork, you are not yet warranted to get a loan. And without good funding and accessible funding, there's no way that agriculture can have a good quality and you can have good products on your table. So that's how I started Agxes.
Interesting. And that was here or Mexico?
That was in Mexico originally. And with that goal, and I would say I've been the beneficiary of scholarships. So I am a Fulbright scholar, and I'm very proud to be a Fulbright scholar. But with that, I understood like scholarships bet on your potential. So why is so hard for the finance system to understand the potential of success for a farmer? Maybe if we can explain it better, then we can have an analogy of scholarships and people are betting on the potential of the farmer and not just on their background. Because as I would say, if I would just be evaluated by my background and my family wealth, probably I wouldn't be here right now. But fortunate, I have been able to get scholarships to study many things in my life. And it's like with that concept, I went to MIT. And I wanted to use technology and data to solve this challenge. But I always say that in the challenge, there's always the opportunity. So it's like, how do we transform this mindset into being a challenge from being an opportunity that we can tackle and that we can impact, I would say, agriculture worldwide, because agriculture, it's all around the world.
Since we know, as a human, right, has been around, and one thing that have been talking is if you see the agriculture, has been since we know as we are human, and then the world of finance, for example, the retirement is in the United States, it has been happening for the last 60 years, and the technology a few decades ago, and the technology like AI is happening so fast, and looks like it's the agriculture is being
overlooked. Yes,
right?
Yes, I agree totally. As you were saying, agriculture has been there since human history. There's no way that humans are here today without agriculture, and agriculture has shaped our society. How do we consume things? How do we live? Everything.
Having different cultures as well.
Totally. But then, as you were right, as you were saying correctly, it has been overlooked for innovation. And I would say in the last years, they have been looking at agriculture. However, they have been looking at agriculture from the ag tech perspective. So how to create machines that help us to be more efficient in the production of food, which is great. But all these SDGs goals that we have right now to produce better food and more food for society worldwide, how are you going to get to that transition if we don't have the right funding? So finance, they are not alienated from this transformation. The finance system has to be part of this transformation, and we have to get innovation into every single stage, and we are focusing on bringing that innovation in the finance sector that serves agriculture.
That's very interesting, because my first startup that I built in Brazil was drones in construction sites. Doing my process of research, understand what other technologies the drones was applying, and there was a huge focus into agriculture around 2015 to 2018. That was the time that I was doing the research and analysis of all these different technologies. But like you say, it is so expensive for put a drone there. Now with the popularization of the drones and the technologies around that, it's easier, more accessible. But a few years ago, it was so expensive. So not everyone could have the access to put all this technology into the farm. So that's why it comes to place, be able to give the fund to be a better research, to get better outcomes. But then goes the problem that the agriculture, they focus on producing things. They know how to the operational stuff, and the lenders, it has this issue. That's like miscommunication between both sides. So that makes a lot of sense.
And that's why we call Agxes. That's why we're called Agxes, because what we want to create is access. Access to funding, access to agriculture, access to good food, access to a better agriculture and finance system. So that's why we call it Agxes.
And then you and your co-founder, when was the moment this started, the company?
Well, the idea of Agxes started before getting to MIT. So actually that's from, since I was applying to my master's degree, the idea of how am I going to create this solution? And back then, of course, the name Agxes was not there, was just the idea. And I began to work during the summer of 2023 to explore all the ecosystem around entrepreneurship at MIT, which is great. And I think that helped me a lot to work on the process of the ideation process, plus classes and plus great people that I found there. So I started Agxes with a co-founder that she's my friend right now. She's not part of Agxes anymore. However, she was crucial because she believed and went with me all this journey of exploration and validation that there was actually a problem there. We did more than 200 interviews. And later on, Oscar, the CTO, our star co-founder, came on. So the story of Oscar, was like the perfect profile to join Agxes. Oscar is a gold medalist on the physics Olympiad nationally at Mexico when he was at high school. So with that talent that you can see, it's not usual to be the Olympiad champion from the whole country in physics. It's not something that many of us can say. So he went to MIT to do his undergrad, and he studied chemical engineering and finance. But he also did AI, LLM, machine learning at labs. So MIT, it's a place that you can explore every single curiosity that you have. You can be in different schools and you can participate in different classes. So he also founded a company before Agxes that was called AgriChat AI. It was an LLM to bring all this knowledge from the land-grant universities in the U.S. So land-grant universities are universities that focus in the rural areas, and they serve mainly agriculture and farmers. So all this knowledge that these universities create, it's usually the knowledge is in the library of the university, and it's not accessible to the farmer that it's in the land working. So they created this LLM to bring this knowledge to the farmer in a very simple, accessible way. And so Oscar was already as founder, was already working in agriculture, with a background in agriculture too. His grandfather was a farmer in the north of Mexico producing pecans. So we just came together, and he's the CTO and I am the business person.
Awesome. It's very interesting story how you guys got together. And okay, so and when was the time that you realized the agriculture lender workflows was broken?
When I founded my agriculture company and I was starting to looking for funding, I realized the system was broke. And I realized that the actual technology that existed was not going to solve that problem. It was not a matter of willingness to improve. It was not a matter of willingness to do things better. It was a matter of this is what we have today to work, and we cannot do it better. We are focused on human-centric flows. We depend on people. These people have 24 hours a day. They work 8 hours a day, and the month has 30 days a month, 31 days a month. So we don't have more time to serve you better, and we don't have more technology. So there are many bottlenecks. So agriculture is one of the hardest loans to process because of the amount of information you need to analyze. You don't need to analyze just the farmer. You need to analyze also the business and the operations and the cash flows. But the business is not a standard. If you produce bananas and I produce strawberries, our cycles are different. Our businesses are different. Even though both are in agriculture and both can be located here in California, they are different. So you need a special people for bananas and you need a person that knows about strawberries. And probably could be the same person, but it's very hard to find all the knowledges in one single person. So you need different experts. And then you create these bottlenecks because a branch executive, it's a generalist, but they have to pass that information to a specialist. And then the bottlenecks begin to create, plus the amount of information. That's why today they only analyze about let's say, bank statements, legal documents, and your credit history. So they are missing the whole point of your core, that it's your operation. They are missing that. They are trying to understand that with bank statements. They are trying to understand that with your credit history, but it's not enough. It's not enough. Agriculture is much more rich than bank statements and credit history.
Right. And then how does, for the technical people that is watching, how does your company works on the back end? And as you building, what was the hardest feature for you to build the tool that you have right now?
Yes, that's a very good question. So we have built an AI engine that works at the core, and then we have agentic workflows. And each agentic workflow covers a task that has been done today by a human, but we also bring, let's say, more better information to be taken into consideration. So as you were saying, today, taking into consideration satellite imagery or drones imagery or videos or this type of information that it's relevant to agriculture, you need a person that understands that technicality. So we don't see satellite imagery people working at lenders in the banks or credit unions, or we don't see them. They are not part of their workforce. Yeah. Exactly. So if you want to bring that new information, you will need a complete new set of skills of people. And that's not your business. So you're not going to bring them. So it's very costly to bring new information to analyze. But for us, we are combining the raw data. We are making sense of unstructured data to analyze, but then to explain that to a person at a bank, we are using LLMs to explain in simple words what you're seeing in a satellite imagery or what you're seeing in a market report or what you're seeing in, operations, seasonality, water, the access to water. It's crucial for a farmer. And those things that are so specific, so technical of agriculture, it's very hard to know for a finance person. It's like, I don't get how water gets into my cash flow.
Correct.
Yes, I get that. However, if we don't have water, there's not going to be production. There's not going to be harvest. There's not going to be income. There's not going to be a repayment of a loan. So water impacts the cash flow, but I'm going to explain you how it impacts, and I'm going to explain you how it makes sense for you to understand that information.
And how do you deal with things that it's hard to predict? We can see historical data and kind of have a forecast what things can happen. How do you deal, or how do you see this can be deal now in the future for things that we cannot foresee?
You're totally right. And that's the biggest challenge of agriculture. When you ask lenders around, do you lend to agriculture? And if they say no, the next question is why? And they say, because it's too much risk.
Yeah.
So that's the main reason why, let's say, the funding or the credit into this industry hasn't been as scalable as it should be because there are perceived risks with traditional technology that you cannot overcome. It's impossible to overcome things that are volatile with traditional technology. And I'm not saying we are solving that. I wouldn't say anyone can solve that, like whether it's unpredictable for any of us. even my phone weather prediction doesn't always is accurate. Right. So we cannot solve things yet. However, we can make it better. We can make it better. We can make sense of historic information and predictions and try to have a range of possibilities. And between that range of possibilities, you're going to take your final decision. But at least you're going to have a better vision of what's possible and not be lost. There's a difference between having a range of possibilities and being completely lost.
Many agriculture startups chase yield optimization. Why do you pick finance infrastructure instead?
Yes, because as I was saying before, we have to transform agriculture. And agriculture will require to acquire better technology as the AgTech that you were mentioning, better irrigation systems, better supply chains, etc. However, for all that to be possible, we need accessible funding. And I fell in love with that area. I would say that for me, that's the key to unlock all this potential. So I focus on how we do better this part so we unlock the rest of the potential in production and supply chain.
Yeah, so one thing that I really like for your solution, again, as I mentioned at the beginning of our conversation, is the impact of AI on industries that are overlooked. And so how can you see on the practical way a smaller farm benefits from this same AI tools as a larger industrial growers have?
Well, I love that question because that was the whole point of creating Agxes, to have impact. And how are we going to have impact is because we're going to be able to bring all these small and medium farmers, and let's say medium also to big ones, into being seen. So right now, it takes 60 days for a lender to underwrite one single loan. 60 days on the KYF that we just... we call it the KYF instead of the KYC or the KYB. We call it the Know Your Farmer. So 60 days for the KYF process and the underwriting process, 60 days. So for them, it was just pretty easy. The logic was like, if it's going to take us too long and time is money, so it's going to cost us a lot, we're going to focus on these super huge producers that are going to give us the best commission.
So you mentioned before the story between, like, say, Heineken, Victoria. Can you put this example on this on your statement?
Yes. For example, these lenders, let's say they have two options: Heineken, Driscoll's, or Nestle, or super huge producer, and they have Victoria, that it's a small farmer in somewhere. And they say, it's going to take me 60 days to analyze Nestle, Driscoll's, or Heineken, the same 60 days to analyze Victoria. So I'm going to put my efforts into these huge producers. And sorry, Victoria, but I'm going to disregard you because I don't have more time to serve you. But bringing down the process to less than 5 minutes, then you untap scalability for all these hundreds and thousands and millions of farmers around the country to be seen for a lender. Because right now, they don't have to choose between serving the huge or the small and medium. They have time to serve everyone. And that visibility just increases your probabilities of getting funding. So farmers and, let's say, regular people, they don't have to be technical. They just have to be willing and producing and be good at their work. They can be seen and they can be valued, and they can be seen now for their potential, and they shouldn't be seen right now just like a sign of risk. So that's what we're changing.
Amazing. Empowering the farmers.
Exactly.
The small and medium farmers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Cool. And now we'll talk about the policy. So what is one policy change that would instantly accelerate the response of the agricultural lenders?
Yes. So if nothing changes, there's going to be a policy that it's going to take place in July of this year. And this is asking for lenders in the US to take more than 20 data points on every single loan that they do to small and medium businesses, including agriculture, including farming. So lenders will have to collect more information to be compliant with the regulator. So that work today takes so much burden. Like, as I say, everything right now is in human-centric flows that they will require more people invest more money or more operational costs to comply and be in line with this new regulation. With Agxes, they can have all this information from the beginning because we step in since the KYF process. So we collect all the data from the beginning to the servicing part. So everything is documented, everything is standardized, and you are not prone to human errors. And also we are disrupting how do we create value? Before, if you wanted to loan more, if you want to deploy more capital into your community, you needed high operational costs. So you need more people for more loans. With Agxes, you can provide more loans with less cost because the technology, as you use it more, the marginal costs goes down. So that's how we are created value. We are disrupting the curve of costs and value creation for a lender.
One thing that I was thinking about as we were talking now is with the use of LLMs, and sometimes we have enough data that can cover, but sometimes there's happen some hallucinations during out this process.
Yes.
And collecting this data, and you ask for LLM to do a certain task and you don't have that data. And then how do you deal with potential hallucinations during this process?
Yes. So we're doing a deterministic model. So we are using real information. We are using real examples and real cases, so we don't have that. And that's how we are avoiding these potential scenarios with a deterministic model.
And how do you maintain the model transparency when every loan file is different?
That's a very good question. So as I was explaining, Agxes will help in the standardization. So every lender has internal policies. These internal policies are compliant with the authority. But right now, why this issue comes along is because the process depends on a person, and the person can decide to follow the process or not follow it very good or make some exceptions. With a system like Agxes, there's that human mistake or that human subjectivity, it's taken out. So you follow a process that it's standardized, that you can demonstrate at every single stage how the decision was taken and what was the thinking process behind it, because it complies with the internal policies of the lender. So it's completely transparent, and you avoid all the complications that are linked to, let's say,
Human error,
discrimination also.
politics,
Women. It's very well studied that women have less attractive conditions for loans. Women pay higher interests than men, and there's a lot of literacy about that. So if now you can have that very well documented from the beginning, and then you are able to apply the same rules to every single requirement or every single farmer, and you can prove that through the system because everything is documented step by step, then you don't have that problem anymore and everything is transparent and you don't have to see who made the loan or who decided. It's like this.
Everything's clear.
Everything is clear, yes.
Interesting. One tech buzzword in agriculture finance you wish you would disappear tomorrow.
Risk.
Why?
Should be instead of opportunity. It's like measured opportunity, not risk.
Favorite underrated crop that deserves more VC attention?
I would say all of them. Like agriculture deserves more funding from every single stakeholder in the system in general.
Book or podcast every agriculture founder should consume this year?
How to Feed the World from Václav Smil, one of my favorite authors. How to Feed the World, yes. Great, like human history, feeding the world, innovation, feeding the world, fact, very fact-related, very good.
Good. One metric that tells you instantly whatever a lender will love Agxes.
Oh, we have that problem. Yes, I understand perfectly what you're saying because we have that problem. That tells me like it's a match made in heaven.
Okay, good. So I want to go back to the book or podcast or content that you think is interesting, because always by the end of our conversations, I always like to bring it up. Some things that some people that want to continue continue learning about what they discuss here. So do you have other examples that you would like to share as well?
Yes, there are many podcasts around agriculture. One of them is Fruitomania. From people that I appreciate very much, David Magaña, that he's an expert in every single produce. It's I would say it's really wise to have a perspective from different industries. So this author, Václav Smil, that I was saying, like he is in charge of studying the history of how things have been developed. So you have data, you have facts, then you have probably around produce and this podcast, but you also have to have knowledge around technology, how technology is shaping things, how academy it's participating in this, and how the global economy is reacting, and how macroeconomy has been linked to this transformation. So I would say a little bit of everything to have a comprehensive view.
Good. Yeah. So I think it was very interesting, our conversation today. We were able to understand how AI can apply on agriculture. I really like the way that you are empowering small to medium farmers to use technology on their advances, specifically now with this new age of AI, how they can optimize this process and have a better conversation between them, their operations, their knowledge, and the lenders that it going to help they're going to help to grow, to continue doing their research and transform the world. That's very impressive. Thank you so much for that.
We have to transform this industry. Like all of us are needed and we are part of it and we are going to do it. Yes, but thank you for the opportunity and the space, Roan. Thank you very much for hearing about Agxes and getting interested in what we were doing.
It was my pleasure.
Thank you.
And see you guys into the next episode.